Hi, my friend, it's Pat Sloan here. And look, I've got so much red and white squares. Look, look, look. That is definitely a Scrap-ilicious quilt going on. And that is today's topic is Scrap-ilicious and my word of the year check-in. So let's do the Scrap-ilicious first. Okay, so that's my main one that I'm getting ready because I am going to take the Stars and Stripes from the Liberty box. I'm going to take this from the Liberty box and put it in the middle. I did a mock-up. So let's see. Look here. This is the mock-up of it. So now I have to decide. I don't think I want a square. I do think I want it a little bit longer. That way it can either be used or, you know, like it's just a little more usable longer. I love it. Love it. This is just so cool. Remember, you can still get a Liberty box if you want one, and you could do one like this too. These are all 2.5-inch squares cut, finished 2-inch. I will have to make this, its finishes 27.5, so I will make it an even number of 28. So I'll do a little border around it. Might do a border of navy around it. So excited about this. So excited. And I want to tell you that I had a extra Liberty box here that I was going to send to somebody, and that somebody is Julie K. And Julie K said that she just, remember you had to answer, you know, who was the last quilt who did you give your last quilt to? And she said she finished the last top for her cleaning lady who is getting married, and she did a bunch of signature blocks so that people can sign for the quilt. And she's also a beekeeper, so the quilt had a bee theme. Yeah, so Julie, I emailed you, so be sure you're looking for that. Okay, so another little Scrap-ilicious, because this has been on my wall, this little block that I did. And I just adore it. I adore it, but it's sort of small. Like, what am I going to do with it? I thought, you know, it just is so cool by itself. I just love this color combination. I think I want to make it a little bit bigger, enough to do a small pillow. I think that would be super cute, just a little accent pillow. So I started going into, let's come down here. So I started going into my scrap bin and the scraps here I've got on top of the rolling assistant, and I found these. Now this blue here is the Summer Soiree. This little blue is a piece of my Morrison Park. So let's see, this blue here is from the friendship bracelet. It was some of the left from the border backing, and it's a similar color, so I think I'm good for that. But these strips are fairly narrow. These are pretty narrow strips, and I think that's the part that makes it spectacular. Because if I started doing this mock-up, like if I did this mock-up and added wide strips, it just does not have the same effect. You know, it just doesn't. It needs like skinny strips, like they would be cut in half like that. So what I want to do, and these are alternated, so you do outsides in top and bottom, sides, top and bottom, you know, you build it out like that. So I need to go find my smallest pillow form and then cut these strips. I don't really want to take any more of this blue from the Summer Soiree, but I don't know. I just might have to. I might have to go and find my smallest pillow form, cut enough of those little strips off of the Summer Soiree, because I do like this, but I sort of don't like it changing. Like if it had been intermixed prior, I would have been okay. Or I could do a little bit of this, but some of this other blue. Now the blacks and the orange, I don't mind if it's different. All right. So that is what I'm looking at, because I'd really like to get that off of the wall, and it's up there because I love it so much. I just keep looking, I think I just love that. I want to make it just a wee bit bigger. Now the other thing I found in this little bin here in the top were some units I've been making for a crumb block, and look what happened. When I picked two pieces up, I had a little house. Isn't that cute? Okay, so I have to do that one too. So those are the decisions for my Scrap-ilicious. My word of the year is due. For those of you who are not familiar with word of the year, I pick one and then I promise myself every month to check in on it and say something about it. And really, you know, I have been doing so many things that I feel really accomplished in using my word this year. I'm doing this with Allie Edwards, also her workshop, which has different teachers and sometimes her for the month. And so I think for next month it'll be a really interesting topic that we're looking at for August, which is sort of getting rid of those stories you tell yourself that aren't true, things you tell yourself that are not true, like, you know, like I can't do this, or I'm this, or I'm not that, you know, those kind of stories that get embedded in your head. But you also have stories that you tell yourself that boost you up, and those are good stories too, like, you know, I'm really good at this, and, you know, I really did well when I did this thing. So I am thinking about that and how I might talk about that for after August is done, and how I'm living those things myself during the month of August. So this is my check-in. I'm just doing it on video for August, and then in September I'll do a written post and sort of see where I am with things. Check-in, the check-ins are great. All right, I want to show you some blocks from the summer soiree that have been shared. I pulled, first of all, let me show you Kimberly's of the Fat Quarter Shop, because she is doing it with the Halloween kitty cat fabric. And this month's is so darling with that kitty in the middle and the green. The rest of these are from some of our friends at the Quilt Along with Pat Sloan group, who showed they're all 6 of their blocks together. So I wanted to show you these different colorways that people are working with, because it is so inspiring. And you can always go there, whether you're a member of Facebook or not. You can go to my Quilt Along with Pat Sloan down below and check out everything. There's a tab for media, I think it's called photos. So first let's look at Barb. So Barb is using a feature floral. So she has this feature floral, which is a little bit bigger, and she's popping that in places. And then look at the stripe she did on block 6. Wow, that stripe is so cool. This is why you collect stripes. Okay, Vicky is doing really cozy, warm fall colors, but she's also keeping it very light. So I really like the fabrics that she picked. Diane H has this darling seahorse fabric. It is so, so cute. And so that is showing up in many of her blocks, along with, you know, sort of these sea-themed fabric colors. Okay, we've got Heather's is beautiful in soft pinks and grays. So it brings that the whole thing is very cohesive, and it's very, very darling. All right, so we have Lucia. She is using a lot of Lucia, L-U-C-I-A. So she's using a lot of what I would call very light fabrics. You might call them the low volume fabrics that I talked about on a video a while back. And then she's got that strong pop of color, so that when you look at it, you kind of get this secondary image with those pops of color coming out. And then Anna is doing hers with this really darling bee fabric. So this is super delightful. The colors are all really nice. They flow together so well. So I hope you enjoyed looking at these. There are hundreds and hundreds of photos out there. It's a quilt show every single day at Quilt Along with Pat Sloan. So you must come over. You must. All right, what do we have? I have finished all of my all of them. They're all the same. But there's 4, and they're all done for the Bats and Boo. I've got the pumpkins done. Yes, I'm so happy. So it means I'm moving along. Then I also took the spooky sampler and I started sewing units together. That is a good thing. I sewed these units, and here is the pumpkin unit. So you know, just because I don't have the whole row from the bottom, you don't have to wait for that. You can just sew the units. There's a couple of different units here. Oops, there's 2. So I've got these done. So we still have the big one. And then I did the top. So here is the top of the spooky sampler with the bats and the big star, and the brooms. I love these brooms. I love them. All right, there we go. Ta-da-da-da-da. Isn't that cool? And so as we're going along, we have it set up, Melissa and I, so that you're building this as you go. So that means at the end, you don't have this big hoop-de-doo to go figure out, wherever, go sew it all together. If you start sewing it together as you go, it is really a time saver. And because you're here, if you looked at the calendar, you saw there was a guest on Monday. Do you think the guest might be someone who designed this? It just might be. Okay, I had a question. I don't know who asked me. So it was a question somebody asked on, may have been on the chat in the morning here when we do the video when it runs in the morning. She asked, well, how often am I changing thread color when I'm piecing all these different things? Well, honestly, I'm rarely changing thread color unless I really have to. If I've got a neutral color like a gray or a tan, I just keep piecing things. I don't care. And I want to show you what I did because I was a little like, should I do this? I had appliqued these, so I had black thread, right? So there's the back, so you can see the black thread. I appliqued these, and then I wanted to go piece these guys. And there is cream fabric. So I was like, well, do I do it? Do I not do it? So I did it because I wanted to see. I was pretty sure it'd be fine, but you have to be a little bit careful with shadowing of black against the light fabric. And I'm like thinking, well, it's at the seam. If I press, what if I press towards them? What if I press away? Okay, so let's look at the front. Do you see black thread peeking out anywhere? No, I don't anyway. So if you come down, you will see that I pieced this with the black thread, and one of them I pressed towards this other light, which is also light colored, and this one I pressed inward so I could see what was going on, and it did not shadow at all. You don't see black thread peeking up. I mean, it's in the seam. Now if I were to pull this, see, even pulling this, I don't even start to see a little bit of a pop of black thread, but you're gonna so don't pull that hard and you'll be fine. So there is an example of real life sewing black thread that I sewed one thing that was definitely needed black because it's on the top, I'm top stitched these guys, and then the seam work is black and it didn't make any difference at all. So that way I wanted to do that because I had a lot of spools of black like this. Like I have these spools that have hardly anything on them, and I need to use them up so I can get that thread off there because I'm not going to pull it off and use it for anything else. So that's why I decided I would just pop them in here and piece these things, and it worked out perfectly. Okay, another interesting thing that I got, Arietta and Avia, both, and several other people, both said, why? Remember, I have that whole big drawer of bindings, so that when I was going to do the one, looking for a binding for the one charm pack quilt, they said, remember you have that drawer of bindings. So I looked in there, and I didn't see anything that I liked as well as, but I'd forgotten. I'd already forgotten about that drawer. Talked all about it just, I don't know, a week ago, and then forgot about it. So it's like really useless for me to have a binding drawer. Have binding saved at all is useless for me, but I have it. But I kept a lot of the stripes, but I decided on this wider stripe because that's the one I really like, and I was able to use up most of this piece of fabric, so there's only a little bit left, which is good because that wasn't that much on that, wasn't that much. So I got that all ready to go. Scrap-ilicious. Take a look at what your most current scrappy project is. Report in on it, show a picture, or just think about it today. I'm going to work on that one block. I'm going to do another couple rows on it just for Scrap-ilicious Day. So I love you. Mwah. See you online.